Welcome in Thursday edition Oxford Exxon Podcast. We will talk some Lane Kiffin today, some Ole Miss football as they had local media day yesterday inside the stadium, inside the Manning Center, kind of all over, doing a lot of construction. Still on schedule for 2023, the summer for the complete Manning Center renovation. But the Grill at 1810 was open for our use yesterday. The field looked like it was usable if you needed that as well. So talk a good bit about football today. Practice again this morning. That's why we are going early on these things, as we will be out there with coverage at rebelgrove.com. Good bit of coverage yesterday, more coming today and throughout preseason camp leading up to the 2022 Ole Miss football season. So again, mostly football on today's show.
Turn you up a little bit.
Turn me up a little bit.
Maybe even turn both of us up just a little bit.
How about right there?
That's probably good.
Is that good?
That's probably great.
All right, we'll do that. So plenty of football today on the show. A show brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford, Blue Sky location. Again, they have ribs, plenty more in the hot case. Call ahead and you take care of dinner tonight, wet or dry, wrap them up, ready to go, waiting on you. Whenever you stop by and pick them up for your family to tonight or this weekend, maybe you're having a little barbecue, some catering. It's going to be hot enough. You can get outside and take advantage of that. And if you're at the pump, they're still trying to give you $10. All you have to do is download the Exxon mobile app, take a picture of the QR code right there at the pump. 1,000 bonus points, $10 with the Oxford Exxon and all Blue Sky locations in Mississippi. And again, coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are coming to you from the Clark Ford studios. Clark Ford is in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. Right to the bottom line. No hassle, no haggle. You get your quote. The rest up to you. You can shop it around. Do what I've done multiple times now. And let's hop into a Clark Ford today. 662-257-1900. Guest will join on the Rafters Music and Food Hotline. Rafters Music and Food on the Square in Oxford. Great place to grab a burger, po' boy, an appetizer. Enjoy watching a game. NFL preseason starts tonight. Yeah, stuff going on. Just enjoy yourself. Have a nice cocktail or whatnot. And also don't forget Rafters in New Albany and Rafters on the Water out at Sardis.
So, good bit of stuff going on from yesterday. Again, content, a lot of practice observations, as many as you can have from a practice where they were in shorts and didn't have pads on, and everything we've talked about prior to that practice from that standpoint. Neal talked to quarterbacks yesterday. Have that content to you today.
Yes.
I wrote about things they have done for culture building that is still very much a work in process as well. We'll talk about that as the show goes on today as well. So
they've gotten some hints into the culture yesterday.
It's a lot. I mean, we'll be a little scattershot because we frankly haven't even talked about what we both thought or saw from anybody yesterday prior to this. So it's all sort of fresh. Lane Kiffin, Neal did what he said, what he meant. It's on the site to try to break it down. And there really wasn't a ton of, hey, no, this is actually what he meant. He kind of said what he meant. I mean, if you had any sense at all.
Lane's ruining the gig. I mean, Lane is messing this up, frankly. I'm used to coaches who talk in code. Lane's not a big code guy.
Okay. You wrote this just on what you kind of saw at practice yesterday. We both are hearing things, and I do think it was an astute observation that maybe we're taking things that we have heard and then kind of personifying them onto a person a little bit.
We're human.
Yeah.
I mean.
I do wonder if that's the case to some extent. However, in saying that, because we made fun of it yesterday, Lane Kiffin, in most media ops prior to this season, frankly, even through the spring, you would get a lower level of decibel. You would get almost a little mumbling. He did not want to be there. He answered the questions. He would perk up on some big picture questions. But for the most part, you got a bunch of nothing, and the reporters, frankly, didn't really want to talk to him. And it just sort of became this tooth-pulling situation for all involved.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the guy at the podium yesterday
No.
in any stretch of the imagination, to the point of a couple times. Now, look, what he does well and why he really stayed engaged is if you ask a shit question, you get a shit answer. And he will make fun of you in the process with sarcasm that to be honest, I'm not sure that some of the people asking the really bad questions, I think they're too obtuse to realize he is being sarcastic and making fun of them in the same moment.
Yes, they don't.
Because I'm having to keep from laughing multiple times on like the third row from where I was sitting because I literally like had to look down and was cracking up, going, "Oh my god!"
Because you're sitting next to me and I do start laughing.
Yeah, and
like, I know what's coming now. As soon as the question comes, as it gets rolling, I'm like, "Oh god, here he goes. He's gonna light him up right now." 3, 2.
Yeah, because how important was the first day is not something he's going to go in detail about. So anyway,
well, especially when he's already been asked about the first day, and someone says, what's the importance of the first day? I mean, what's the only day we got? It's one day. I mean, honest to God, I mean, I don't know whether Lane Kiffin likes us or hates us. I have no, or even knows we exist,
yeah, right.
frankly. But I have a suspicion that because of sort of the way we cover things, which is without a lot of the excess drama and such, I actually think there's as much of an appreciation as he's ever going to have for a media outlet.
So he does that, but then on the other side, you could, because a little background here, because we got time to go through this. As I said, construction's going on. We're not in our normal room. We're in the visitor press conference area of the stadium. And
actually, we're on
the other side. Actually, yeah, we're in
the halftime team.
Oh,
meeting
right,
room.
Yeah, that's actually where we are. Never mind. I got all my rooms on the state mixed up. Anyway, we're in a place that the acoustics is not very good. The fact that you can hear the video online is a credit to Seth and Ole Miss because it is really horrible from an acoustic standpoint.
Yeah, they did a great job, Seth Austin and those guys, of overcoming the obstacles in the spring.
Yeah, right. So, point being, typically he's almost kind of hard to hear in there, or he was during the spring.
In the spring, sometimes sitting in the front row, you could barely hear him.
Yeah. He was as loud as he is in things he actually wanted to do yesterday. He was comfortable. He wasn't in a hurry. There were multiple times where a question was answered and then he elaborated again before the next question came. He actually kind of stopped and went, hold on, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he had as close to a back-and-forth dialogue with local media as he has ever had at any point in Oxford yesterday.
Ever.
Laughed, made jokes, was comfortable. I mean, that's the word that everybody keeps talking about, is there appears to be, relative to the past, a comfort, a contentment. Somebody's just kind of hanging out and coaching a football team. I mean, I think you called it calm or professional yesterday at some point on the field, and that's sort of what he emphasized in the press conference yesterday.
Yeah, the practices were calmer. The practice was calmer than I remember. And so let me say this out loud. I don't pay attention to spring practice as much. I go because otherwise people would lose their minds. But I know way too many coaches and players who tell you that spring is sort of whatever. I mean, it's eventful for quarterback races and such, so you cover it. But there's no sense of urgency in April. You don't play a game. You're not preparing for anybody. The opener is half a year away, for God's sake. You get to preseason camp, you get into August, it feels like football. You know that you're getting ready for games. The calendar's going to turn. In a couple of weeks, people are going to come to campus. In a couple of weeks, you're going to be in class. You're going to be going, and you know what's coming. Like Mason Brooks said on the Mason Brooks show is, hey, it's still a kind of a month before you play anybody, but you know this is important. You know this matters. You know this is something the team needs. You don't get that in late March when, hey, we're going to work for a couple of weeks, go to spring break, come back, work for a couple of weeks. We're going to play a game where the goal is going to be for no one to get touched. It's different.
There's urgency.
But what I noticed in practice yesterday was from Kiffin, and again, I wrote this, and you obviously read it, and I appreciate you reading my work. I wonder if I'm taking conversations that I'm hearing and projecting that onto what I'm looking at, but I just saw calm. Some of that was Wilson Love's not out there. I mean, really it is.
He did change the tenor and the cadence of the practice.
Yeah. There wasn't that just psychotic element to it that existed. Where I would always wonder, is this necessary? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, it's your team, do what you want, but it just felt weird. Yesterday I've covered some NFL practices. Yesterday felt like an NFL practice. Now, the difference was, and Kiffin had to stop it, something happened. It's hot. Guys are starting to get cramps. They're
not in football shape yet. There is a difference between shape and football shape.
Yeah, sure. Even these are guys that are in great shape.
Yeah, sure.
Like, if they take their shirts off, I'm putting mine on.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not in football shape yet. You're running around in a practice, and guys are it got chippy, and there was a 5 or 6 play stretch. I would guess 2/3 of the way through practice where they're doing team, and on every play, people are going down. And Lane finally just stopped it, called everybody in, and I don't know what he said. Couldn't hear him.
Didn't yell.
No, he talked.
Yeah.
But he very clearly said, we're not wearing pads.
Chill out.
This is not what we're doing today. No one's winning a game on August the 3rd, but you can damn sure lose one. Chill. Let's practice. And then after that, it was calm the rest of the way.
Somebody got a little chippy and somebody got pissed off about something.
It looked like it was an OL-DL thing, which is a good sign, frankly, for your program, that you have an OL that is an offensive line that is kind of full of tough guys who aren't going to back down, and a defensive line that's sort of the same way. And so I suspect someone violated the code.
And then it started really getting violated.
And then it spiraled, yeah. And then all of a sudden people are dropping everywhere. And some of it was just cramps, but it had
somebody fired off, and then someone on the side goes down.
Well, there were some hits.
Yeah.
And,
there shouldn't be hits.
No, I mean.
There are no pads.
There's a reason you wear pads in football. It's to protect the body from some of the hits. So, I don't know. I just thought, I hate to say Lane was different. I don't know what that means, but he looked, I wrote this.
He looked more comfortable. That's not debatable.
Yeah, it was absolutely more comfortable at practice. For sure. And some of that is he's been here for a while now. He's kind of knows the place. I'll be honest, I think, and this is going to sound crazy, and maybe this is the dad in me. I think having his daughter here this summer, and, she's not part of a football program, right? She's a high school kid. And high school kids are pretty social in the summer. And I just kind of wonder if maybe he feels maybe just a little bit more part of the community a little bit. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I don't know. He just was doing his job yesterday. It was different. I don't know how to explain that to people. I really don't, without feeling like you're sort of violating sources and conversations and stuff. It's just different. I think he's more comfortable.
Well, look, they won 10 games. That's success. He's not on day one of not having any idea what the roster looks like and this grind of trying to figure out a program that hadn't won in 5 years when you get here. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into those early days to where everything you're saying is correct, but then also there's pressure, but it's pressure to get better, not this, shit, can it happen? Can you do this here? Are we having problems? Who's that dude? Do we have this? It's his program. It's all his dudes.
I also think they were coming off a really successful recruiting weekend. But may have played a role in it. Just guessing. I mean, it's a little more than a guess, but you go from I think there were times when this NIL thing started. Lane talked about it, where, you go, well, what do we do if we can't compete like that? And I do think there is a certain settling of the market that's happened where they feel like, hey, okay, maybe we're going to be okay. I asked him the question about, hey, looks like you have some momentum in recruiting the high school kids. Is that changing kind of the calculus moving forward? And I was like, no, not really. I think it's a result of success. To your point, Chase, he said, when you there is a difference between recruiting kids on, hey, we have a dream, and hey, we won 10 games. When you bring a guy in and go, here's what we're trying to do. Well, that's a completely different sales job than here's what we've done. Now here's what we're trying to get to.
Well, he said that. He talked about that yesterday.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Hey, I need you to believe in us.
Yeah, you're not begging guys to go, hey, we have a vision. We're going to do this because of you.
Right.
No, we did this. Come be this.
Right.
I need you to come be Sam Williams. If you're a quarterback and go, hey, Matt Corral.
Right.
Here.
Sure.
Go do this.
So there's a lot of that. And then the other thing that was interesting was, I mean, you don't have to be the greatest read between the lines person in the world to know that there's a handful of portal guys that they're not exactly thrilled with just yet. Got time, but the message is being sent.
It's an interesting deal because the portal guys, their recruitment was more business-like, professional, just where do we need to go, what do we need to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they acclimate from day one and don't think, hey, they brought me in here, I'm going to just play. And I'm not saying this is any one dude, but you're assuming the starting job. You're assuming this. It's I don't have to buy in necessarily that way. You know, I mean, there's all that kind of stuff to, hey, and then, you are bending to our culture, not we're bending to yours. I mean,
it has to be that way.
I think it was Miles Battle yesterday was talking about it, and he said, look, we got guys from so many different programs, types of programs, levels of programs, and from all over the country. I mean, you've got a melting pot coming in of – it's one thing for the high school kid to come in and go, well, I mean, this is a new thing. I've got to respect the change. But the dude who just comes in from another Division I school, this is how we did it over here. This is how we whatever. And it's like, hold on, no, you're here. And
you know, I talked to Mason Brooks about this. I talked to Troy Brown about this. And both of those guys come from smaller programs. And Troy talked about how he's a – man, I listen to everybody. Like if the water boy tells me, hey, I think I saw you doing something, he's going to think about it. And, you know, because he's at Central Michigan. He wasn't surrounded by high-profile recruits. And, you know, and Mason was at Western Kentucky, which is the same thing. And that was a really good team at Western Kentucky. Frankly, it was a really good team at Central Michigan.
Sure.
But those guys come in, and I think it's easier for them to acclimate into a system because they go, hey, I wasn't a big deal. Right? I mean, he's doing the I'm in the SEC. They can do the I'm in the SEC thing. Yeah, of course. But when you come from some of the bigger programs, you know,
and I'm not picking up individual guys necessarily, but yeah, they do have guys from Auburn, USC.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got
those guys are like, well, this is how we did it. Well, you're not there anymore, and sometimes it takes a minute. And keep in mind, and these are young guys.
Well, it's a huge change. I mean, let's look at somebody who is doing his damnedest to fit in and do everything he can to lead and to buy into the culture. And J.J. Pegues, he still talked yesterday about how it's a change because you come from another SEC program. You're so used to this kind of strength and conditioning, this kind of coaching, this kind of atmosphere, and in the back of your mind, you're going, well, but I've already done this same level, like whatever, and you have to go, no, it's just stop.
Yeah,
whatever they say, just stop. Okay, good. Let's do it that way.
And there's time. It's
day one.
I mean, they don't play for 30 days. Yeah, 30 days from today. It's the opener.
Yeah,
got a minute.
Yeah. No, they have plenty of time. I think Lane's point is you don't need to be having the same topic in 2 weeks.
No, for sure.
We got a week, got a few days.
Yeah, for sure.
We got to move on to some other stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, we'll dive through some more things that he said in a minute. Before we do that, tell you about G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer MedSync for your prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. Whether it's one trip to the pharmacy, one delivery, you have everything you need when you need it with G&M. You can also transfer your medications over easily. It's one call, and they will take care of that. You don't have to stay with a big box pharmacy. Let G&M help. Again, that is 662-236-2222.
We are also brought to you by, I got to get out of that file because that was what he said, what he meant. I got to get to the other file.
That's not going to help you.
That's not going to help me. Brought to you by myperfectfranchise.net. I actually met with Andy Ledecky yesterday in Oxford. If you're looking to diversify You're looking to leave the corporate rat race to gain control of your income and schedule? MyPerfectFranchise.net offers the ability to create income and wealth. Let Andy guide you through a comprehensive franchise evaluation. He has tons of franchise and business ownership experience to lean on. If you hate your job, you hate your boss, you hate your pay, if you feel stuck, get in touch with Andy. It's Andy at MyPerfectFranchise.net. I've been using some of the Solutions RX supplements. They make a difference. I can feel a difference in energy and just in overall sharpness. You will too. It's Solutions RX. It's a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Cornelison. It's pharmaceutical grade, manufactured inside the U.S. You know, if you take diabetes medicine, you take high blood pressure medicine, maybe cholesterol medications, they can cause just some subtle things like muscle pain, brain fog, energy loss. It's because of the depletion of minerals and vitamins in your body. But Chris formulated a product called Prescription Support, puts those vitamins back into your body, helps with those side effects, makes you more compliant taking your medication. Just overall, it helps you. SolutionsRx.com. It's available in independent pharmacies across the U.S., including Mississippi, but you can also just go to that website, enter the promo code OEP at checkout to get 10% off your first order. We're also brought to you by Holcomb Portable Buildings, 7991 Highway 7 South in Holcomb. They custom build your building to your specifications, however you want your carport, ATV or storage shed, barn, hunting cabin, or other buildings. Holcomb Portable Buildings will accommodate you. It's holcombbuildings.com, 662-226-2233. Also, deadsoxy.com, best socks you'll ever put on your feet. The no-shows for the summer months. Also, the traditional socks for if you get heading out, corporate world, that kind of thing. Or some of their Ole Miss theme socks if you're getting ready for game day weekends and that kind of thing. Go to Dead Soxy, deadsoxy.com, promo code Rebel Grove at, I have no idea why it's doing that. I'm getting the notification thing. Rebel Grove, 25% off with the code Rebel Grove at checkout. And also, don't forget, get ready for game weekends and stuff in the Grove. You're going to be out there. It's going to be 92 degrees. You're going to pour a little extra vodka in your drink. It's going to hit you a little differently. Get ready for it by getting Game Changer patches, the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch used before or while you drink. The overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game. Ready for the next play, go to GameChangerPatch.com, promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout for 20% off your purchase.
Podcast is brought to you by Johnson Hill Creamery. That's JohnsonHillCreamery.com. Also, go to their Instagram page where you can see their full menu for tailgate catering here soon. They have several different packages for you. One that beats 10, 20, 40. They have everything from large specialty trays, sandwiches, cheese, charcuterie, and much more. You know, they make all their cheeses locally and in-house every single day here in Oxford. They have dessert with that. They have crudité. They have lots of different options to make your Grove tailgate what you need it to be this season. To find out more, 662-419-9201, cheese at johnsonhillcreamery.com, and they'll artfully arrange all the catering on trays with disposable bamboo utensils to help you out there as well. So again, that's johnsonhillcreamery.com. Actually, on-field stuff, as expected, Lane's not going to give much away. He expected redundant quarterback questions. He got redundant quarterback questions yesterday. He's polite enough with his sarcasm, but he gets his message across when he's tired of answering certain questions.
What's he going to say after one practice? I mean, can you imagine if you walked in there and said, you know what, guys, Luke is way ahead of Jackson or vice versa?
I'm going to name him the starter today, too.
I mean, the message that you send to your roster is everything I've said all summer is total crap. Everything. You cannot believe me. You cannot trust me.
I'm just seating my pants.
I'm just a reactionary dude. I have no idea what I'm doing. Now, in fairness, we had to ask quarterback questions.
Sure.
To get quarterback answers. That being said, anybody that's watching it or following it knows that it's going to be a couple weeks.
They were quarterback questions that you knew were not going to give anything, like where does that stand? Well, it stood at the same place it was in the spring. And a couple other ones that he really, really kind of batted away. I thought the one that was pretty interesting was, what is your timetable? Because, frankly, I didn't expect much of an answer, and Lane actually gave one. He said it takes as long as it takes, but he was more negative about letting it run into the season than I anticipated him being. We had sort of operated under that assertion that was at least a viable thing, and I think it would be if he just simply doesn't know, but it felt like Lane Kiffin would like a really clear answer in the next 17 days or so as this thing gets amped up.
I thought that was interesting, too. He answered it. It was actually a very thorough answer. It was really why I was reading it as I was doing the what he said, what he meant, going, well, there's not a whole lot more I can add here. Mm-hmm. You want as much information as you can, because the more information you have, the better the odds that you're making the right decision.
He's admitted he has rushed it in the past and made the wrong decision.
Yeah. On the other hand, I thought his answer about pulling quarterbacks was interesting. When you pull a quarterback, you get into his head. Any quarterback. And when you get into a quarterback's head, sometimes you can't get the quarterback out of his head, and you lose the quarterback. That happens. And so, he talked about the Arkansas 2020 game where Matt had all the interceptions and whatnot, and he stuck with Matt, and that turned out to be a real turning point for Matt. And I think whoever is the quarterback, whether it's Luke or Jackson, whoever's getting that first opportunity, I think he wants to put that person at ease and let him go to work. I talked to some people yesterday, just kind of chatting at practice and such, and no, this is not new. They're hoping that both quarterbacks through this competition improve on a couple of specific things. And I talked to both quarterbacks about this yesterday, so you'll read that later at rebelgrove.com, hopefully. The thing with Dart is they want him to be more conservative, protect the football. The thing with Luke, they love that element of his game, but they do want him to dial up the courage meter.
Trust himself.
Yeah. Trust your receivers. Let them make plays.
Smart aggression.
What's interesting is, and look, it's too early to go, oh man, this is going to be a great defense. I mean, you just can't say that yet. Got a chance, can't say that yet. But if the defense is as good as I think some people inside that building think it can be, and if they can run the ball as effectively as I think some people inside that building think that they can, the fewer mistakes, protect the ball guy probably has the inside track, whoever that turns out to be. As opposed to, I think if they looked at this and said, man, this defense is pretty porous. It's going to give up a lot of points. We're not great at running the ball. We're going to have to sling it. We're going to have to take some chances, knowing that we're going to get burned a few times. But I think that would give the gunslinger type of quarterback more of an edge. And I'm not saying, because I asked Jackson yesterday, are you a gunslinger? I know you've heard that. And he kind of pushed back on it. They're both really bright kids, guys, young men, whatever.
And they're young.
Yeah, but they're both young. When you look at them, when you get up close and they're not wearing uniforms, you realize how young they are. And so, that's part of the calculus here too, is that let's be real. I think I wrote this yesterday. The odds are you're going to need them both at some point. Go look around the country last year at how many teams got through the whole season with one quarterback. It's not a bunch. Quarterbacks get hurt. You need another. You got to have. So whoever doesn't win this job, you got to make sure you don't lose him in the process.
What were your impressions of Dart yesterday? Just talking to him.
Talking to him?
Yeah. Just his whatever.
Confident. I think he looks back at the spring and looks at a few things and goes, I was adjusting to a new place, to a new offense. I was probably swimming a little bit. As the spring went on, all the wide receivers got hurt, lost weapons. It was kind of hard. The defense was building confidence, kind of dominating practices, and that it was, a lot. It was a lot to learn from it, but it wasn't the most ideal environment for him at that particular moment. And with Luke, what you get from Luke is this very quiet confidence where Luke says, hey, I think I'm a great quarterback. A year ago, I had to take a back seat to Matt, and I understood that. But Matt's not here. And, I think Luke, not to give the whole story away, but I think Luke knows that the national media has painted a narrative that isn't necessarily true, and he's using that as motivation.
Yeah, he certainly feels like he's in this competition. Not that it's some.
Oh, I think he thinks he's.
It's not a coronation.
I think the national media has fueled him some. Because the national media, I'm doing the Chuck Oliver show today, and Chuck will start, I'm sure, and I'm not picking on Chuck here, but every national media guy, they write that, hey, Jackson Dart's. People were talking about Jackson Dart Heisman odds back in the spring. And I'd be like, hey, he hadn't won the job yet.
Might not be the quarterback.
So, I don't know. I thought they both.
Well, look. Altmaier's quote at the Manning Passing Academy. Whole portal thing's crazy, but I kind of took it personal. Then bringing in a guy to compete with me and maybe take my job, and I'm just steadily working hard, trying to keep my head down, mouth shut, and I'm ready to get rolling.
Yeah, he kind of played that way yesterday. Now, he was conservative again yesterday, and you saw Dart do some of the same stuff that he did in the spring. A couple of forced balls into traffic that can get you beat in the SEC.
Well, now, too many of those, and whoever's doing that will not be the quarterback, 100%. If you're throwing the ball into coverage, you are not going to play quarterback no matter who you are.
Listen, this is a football team that's going to have to go to College Station, Baton Rouge, and Fayetteville this year. And people can think what you want to think about LSU, about Texas A&M, about Arkansas. Do whatever you want to do in your fan mind about those places. They're all really tough places to play.
Sure. And
you're going there in October and November. Those are going to be difficult assignments for quarterbacks. Kyle Field is going to be loud that day, that night. Tiger Stadium is going to be loud that day, that night. And it's senior day or senior night at Fayetteville when you go to play there. And that's going to be an emotional game for them because they have it circled too. All three of those teams have you circled. You're going to win in those places. You're going to have very solid quarterback play.
Yeah, you beat them all last year, and they've all
circled you. And so you're going, and you got time before you go there. That's one of the things a lot of people said, which was kind of confirmation bias for me and for you too, because we've talked about this. The schedule sets up where you have some time to work through some things. Mm-hmm. If you opened up by, hey, we're going to College Station in week 2, it'd be I think there'd be a little sense of panic right now. But they don't they go to Georgia Tech in week 3. They get Central Arkansas in week 2. They've got some time to sort through some things before the season gets rolling. And when it gets rolling on October 1st, though, it gets rolling. You get the break at Vanderbilt, and that's it. After that, it is a rolling ball of butcher knives, as Tommy Tuberville used to say. And you better have some stuff figured out by then.
Setting us up here, because to be asked this question, I'm doing it anyway. What do you think is the earliest he would make a decision on quarterback?
The very earliest, I think, would be after the scrimmage on August the 13th.
And that even feels too early.
Yeah. Somewhere between the 3rd.
Frankly, the Monday of game week would not shock me.
I would think he'd want to do it a little before that, if you know who it is.
Sure.
But yeah, I think he'd like to have 2 full scrimmages under your belt. The 13th and the 20th, they're going to scrimmage. I think one of those will be open to fans, one won't. My guess would be the one that isn't is the most important one. Because that's where you might.
Because the next 2 are open to fans. Or first 2, whatever.
Yeah, Saturday's not a scrimmage, though.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Because they're only in shoulder pads Saturday.
And I don't even know that it's open to fans. I haven't looked.
Okay.
Maybe you do. I don't know. the 13th, they're going to be conservative with it because A, it's still early, and B, you don't know who's in the stands, and you know how coaches are. After that, you start getting real. And once you get to the 20th, I mean, you're getting close. You're 2 weeks away from playing a game. And
yeah,
2 weeks, you got to start knowing.
August 13th is the only fan open one.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that is the only fan open practice there is. At least, again, tentatively right now.
Right.
Don't know. Those schedules never stay 100% accurate throughout the preseason.
No. Someone will do something from
Someone will violate the circle of trust.
Yeah.
And things will get a little hairy.
Well, when they say we don't want you reporting on scheme, that's complicated. Like
that. Well, look, that is an impossible ask because what does that mean?
Well, that's what yesterday as I was writing some things, I'm like, I'm probably getting into the gray area here, and I'm not really doing much. I mean, Devon Clowney working at linebacker, Brandon Mack working at linebacker. Is that scheme or is that personnel?
That's personnel.
So I don't.
They're
know.
running this exotic blitz from this whatever. I mean, okay.
You're right.
Yeah.
And I stayed out of that because they did kind of do some blitz stuff that was different, but I stayed out of that. I'm not going there.
It feels I didn't feel like I talked to multiple players yesterday on the defensive side who said the terminology, frankly, the defense is very similar to last season. That Partridge was not reinventing the wheel by any stretch of the imagination. That it was give or take the same system, other than a few tweaks here and there and a few different things, calls and keys and things like that. But for the most part, it was the same defense.
I anticipate that they will be more aggressive. Durkin was pretty conservative as a play caller. I anticipate.
You think they'll open it up?
I think they'll be more aggressive if you feel like you can get away with it. Now you got to be careful with that because you bring blitz and don't get home. There's stuff on the other end. The other team's trying too.
Now neither one was here last year, so it's all what they heard. But Pegues and Jared Ivey both kind of intimated that yesterday that the message was that they were going to be a little more aggressive, be open to a little more.
Yeah.
Trying to create a little more chaos versus play defense and get off the field. And
my guess is Chris is just a more aggressive person than DJ.
Yeah, right.
And DJ's a very good coach.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, if you talk
DJ is a fantastic football coach.
If you talk to people in college coaching, they'll tell you if the thing at Maryland wasn't hanging over him, he would be a Power 5 head coach right now.
Yes.
And he will get another opportunity.
He will.
Absolutely.
His next job will be a head coach job.
Yes.
He needed 2 regroup spots, and he has had those now.
Yeah. So, but listen, Chris worked for one of the best defensive minds in college football when he was at Michigan. He knows football. He's not having to play the connect the dots game. He knows what he's doing.
It's an opportunity for him.
It's a hell of an opportunity. Oh yeah, because I think he has a chance to be a head coach one day.
Yeah. Okay. Buy that. Just marinating it for a second.
And then offensively, there's, Jeff Lebby's not out there. It's a different coordinator, and how yesterday, Lane from an involvement in the offense standpoint was about the same as he was
with
Lebby. So this is Weiss's kind of game plan stuff moving forward.
Well, look, he likes and trusts him, or he would not be here. He's had him at 3 different stops now.
So we'll see what that looks like. I don't know. Maybe how different will the offense be? My suspicion is not very.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll talk a little more about the players here in a second. First Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis, so you can look underwriting and understand your market, leader in condo financing, the float down option, and more. You can find Jason at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
ACS is owned by my friend Clay McNutt, Baldwin, Mississippi. It's a complete electrical control system solution provider, a Rockwell Automation Recognized System Integrator. They've got a full-time dedicated emergency service and troubleshooting staff, and a UL508A panel shop. You can get in touch with them at acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. Also brought to you by Lamons Fine Jewelry. Lamons at 1126 North Lamar Boulevard in Oxford. It's been serving the Oxford area for 75 years or so. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, children's jewelry, whatever the case. It's the gold standard in fine jewelry. They've got it all there. LamonsFineJewelry.com or call them at 662-234-2777. Podcast is also brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating. They sponsor Hand Raise Guys, which we'll have tonight back here in the Clark Ford Studios. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, or the surrounding area, call Comer, 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, or the surrounding area, call Southern, 662-429-4429. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel Shop. 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, it's next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, just go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. The largest selection of Rebel gear in central Mississippi. I anticipate recording a Mind on My Money a little later this morning. That's brought to you by Pinnacle. It's mypinwealth.com. They'll sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan built just for you. And we're brought to you by John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Get in touch with John. Give him some parameters, give him a budget, and he will help make a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. 901-494-3387, or send him an email, jedwards@regencytravel.net. And we're brought to you by OPA. When you're planning your trips up for football season, make OPA part of it. They've got a great menu featuring gyros, wraps, kebabs, redfish, lamb chops, handcrafted cocktails, frozen libations, an amazing candlelit patio, and more. 306 South Lamar, just south of the Square Courthouse.
Podcast is brought to you by Prime Shrimp, primeshrimp.com. Know about the 5 different flavors that are shipped directly to you, frozen in a bag. You pop those in boiling water, and inside 10 minutes, you have restaurant quality shrimp ready to go for an easy meal. It's a great thing with school back in session to help out the kids those busy nights when you've got all sorts of other activities going on as well. The Signature is my favorite, but they've got a spicy option. They've got a couple meals in a bag with the garlic herb butter and the French Quarter Alfredo that works great over pasta, rice, veggies, and much more. The Simply Shrimp you can doctor up to yourself. It's great for kids. And then they are now also selling the 2-pound bags of individually frozen shrimp, just like you see at the supermarket. Better quality from a New Orleans-based business here with Prime Shrimp. Code MPW for $20 off your first order, primeshrimp.com. So player-wise, we didn't necessarily do it on purpose, but you talked to probably a little more offensive guys than I did. Talked to a little more defensive guys yesterday.
Just our mentality. I'm an offensive guy. You're a defensive guy.
That's what it was. Well, I mean, for anybody, the setup is it's a little fishbowl-y because, and look, credit to them because it's one of the few times all year that you can just break out, ask players whatever you want without somebody necessarily over your shoulder. You get a lot of one-on-one stuff. You get some different stuff. And there's tons of players available. I mean, it was 20, 25 guys, whatever the number was, maybe more than that. And they are in pretty good moods. I was laughing with Kyle Campbell about it yesterday that, you know, during the season, they've just finished practice. They're hot. They're tired. They've had a long day. They're not really into, hey, sit down here for 15 minutes and let's really go through something really quick. They were fine yesterday. Like, it was all good. So it's a really good opportunity, but you're walking in and it's almost like this cattle call because you don't really mean to, but you're almost like looking at a couple of them going, nah. Okay, yeah, I'll talk to him. Like, whatever, and then you stop and everyone's like, hey, did you talk to him? I don't really need him. And, like, they're here. Like, it's a little bit of a weird dynamic in the room, if you will. So, you know, it's fine, but.
Well, and you hate to fill the notepad up, if you will, with a bunch of stuff that will be outdated in 2 days.
Well, there's that too.
You know, there's only so much that you can. Now, I probably let a couple of what would have been real easy 10 thoughts get away from me yesterday, but
just stuff.
Just where I could have easily gone and asked one question and gotten a quote and sort of turned it into a thought.
And then I took a couple things that, because I knew they were in shorts today, that could be observation-ish for that. Like, there was a couple things, like people talking about, you know, weight gains and losses and some of that stuff that you're never going to build a story around the fact that so-and-so did this or did that, but it's worth a note here or there. So, okay, fine, like, whatever.
What do you weigh now?
It's the only thing in America where we ask that question, and it's just expected. Like, I literally, Katie Hill and I talked about his body fat percentage for like minute and a half.
Is that right?
Yeah, just, what's up? Like, Well, he was.
I talked to AJ Finley about smoking brisket.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm just not good at that. It's this stuff.
So you use peach paper, parchment paper? What are we doing?
Well, we talked about the frustration of the stall.
Okay.
And how you keep checking it, and the more you keep checking it, the longer you extend the stall, and it's really maddening. And it really, you can't, you don't.
Everybody who's into instant gratification should have to smoke a brisket because you're only punishing yourself if you rush it. You just have to stop. That's it.
Yeah. Talked to another player about Top Gun.
Did you?
Top Gun Maverick.
But you still have not seen.
No, I did go see it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We talked about how you really had to see the first Top Gun to understand the nostalgia of the second. You could enjoy the movie.
I know we're in the middle of camp. I actually want to do a Top Gun episode of a podcast with you because I have thoughts on that because it's really interesting. This movie, 10 seconds. This movie has grabbed 20-year-olds to 80-year-olds.
Oh, lower than that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, so it's really interesting from that standpoint.
I live in a neighborhood full of little boys.
Yeah.
Thank God. It's fun.
Yeah, sure.
I love being around little people.
Sure.
And they are all on these scooters and bikes going up and down our street, which scares me a little because people fly.
Yeah, a whole different issue.
I'm so happy that I was the guy that fought for the speed bumps years ago.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, you hear them. I'm talking like kindergarten, first grade boys. You hear them racing down the road singing the Danger Zone song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's great.
Funny.
It's hilarious. And so I rolled down my window and said to one of the moms the other day, I was like, yeah, they were singing Danger Zone.
That's funny.
And she said, it's been a Top Gun summer.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So
again, maybe this is better for tonight. Like whatever. Okay.
We can save it for tonight.
Okay. Yeah. We're footballish, but okay. God, because I've got like 12 thoughts to that. But anyway, okay. Point being, you hit some other topics with your player interviews yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, like Katie Hill, nobody was really talking to him, and I mean, it's fine. Katie's a good dude. It's fine.
Yeah, I like Katie.
He was watching film. Like, I know the recruiters go, whoa, but he was like sitting there, and he had an iPad out, and I kind of walked over, and I was joking. I was like, what are we doing? Like, South Park office? And he laughed. He goes, nah, film. And I was like, now? And he goes, well, I've been trying to get it to come up. He's like, because if I do it now while nobody's talking, I don't have to do it later. So he's like, I'm just kind of sitting here or whatever. And he had the iPad out, and he was watching practice from that morning. He was just going ahead and getting his review in from practice that morning. I said, you got a second? Yeah, sure, whatever. And, I mean, it's football, so you do notice, and I was like, you look different. And he goes, well, I've done this. And, suddenly that turns into, hey, well, I really tried to get my body fat percentage down. I really tried to do this. I'm trying to – because he was incredibly effective last year, and he got tired. So anything he can do to stay on the field, just a few more snaps, just because he was impactful at times at defensive tackle last year for Ole Miss. I mean, he played well. It's why I do have some hope for that position in general. We don't talk about that being the big problem because I do think between second-year jumps from at least one of Iton and Gordon and then Hill and then, whatever we get or don't get out of Malone from that standpoint. I mean, there's right. I mean, there's pieces there to put a rotation in, if you will, I think.
Yeah, I think defensive line could be nine deep. Just before you even talk about Brandon Mack and Clowney, two guys that I think are both going to play, and they were getting snaps at linebacker yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm a little hesitant to do this, but I wrote it yesterday, so I might as well just dive all in. I thought physically they looked different.
You did.
I did. I thought.
No, that has been a transition for a while now, a progression into a more SEC all-around.
If you made me guess, I would guess the team body fat is lower. I thought some guys looked bigger but not inflated.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the walk-on guys, like specifically the two walk-on quarterbacks. We wrote about them in the summer. They look good-looking kids, big, physical, good-looking guys. I mean, there's a lot. It just looks more like an SEC roster than it's looked since 2015.
Yeah. Kyle, thank you for the super chat. He says, if all SEC team mascots run a fight, including Texas and Oklahoma, who would win? Also, would Freeze take the UAB job if Bill Clark doesn't return? Yeah.
Yes, Freeze would take the UAB job.
Sure. It's good. That's actually not a bad gig.
It would be a great gig.
Yeah. Oh, Andy and Hugh together again.
Andy likes Hugh.
They do.
Yeah.
Andy gave Hugh advice a couple times. He didn't take it. He gave him advice.
He gave him good advice.
He did.
Yep.
We heard about that one night.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, if they get their full arsenal of weapons, I mean, Commodores have ships and cannons.
Oh, that's true.
How are we beating ships and cannons?
Well, how do you know is the war going to be
land or sea?
Yeah, I mean,
I think I'm putting my money on the Sooners. We got muskets and guns and stuff. Well, I mean, so would the Volunteer.
Yeah, but they would be less organized, I would think.
Tennessee would.
Yeah.
You think the Sooners would be more apt for?
Auburn would have Tigers and Eagles.
And Plainsmen.
That's a lot.
Which, does Plainsmen have guns?
I mean,
I
can't rule out that they wouldn't.
Okay. None of the animals can win because they're humans.
I wouldn't like Juice's chances. As someone who has lived with Labrador Retrievers for the past 20-some-odd years, I just don't like Juice's chances.
We're going with Juice instead of land shark.
What the hell is a land shark? I mean, it's not even real.
Does he exist?
No.
Is he dead? Is he gone?
Have you ever seen a land shark?
Are we going to see him? Is he going to be on the field September 3rd?
Probably.
Because I like the British Labs' chances to be on the field more than I do the land shark. It was my favorite part of yesterday that Lane goes, I know everybody thinks everything's all calculated, but we just wanted a dog. I don't know.
Yeah. His daughter had moved here and she wanted a dog.
That was really all it was.
And I actually believe him.
I do too.
The way that he answered that, I actually believe it. And I truly believe the second part, which is
it became his dog as they got tired of the dog.
Well, yeah. When the puppy's 10 weeks old,
cute.
You take it everywhere because it's adorable. And then when he gets bigger and he's not as easy to transport and he starts to have a mind of his own, all of a sudden he's not as fun to take to your girlfriend's house. Talk about her girlfriends.
Yeah, sure.
Her female friends. All of a sudden he's a pain in the ass. And he becomes, I mean, when I went and got Rizzo, it was because the girls really wanted another dog. And, they were going to walk him. Ask me how many times the girls walked Rizzo.
Not me.
Now ask me how many times I've walked Rizzo.
Every day.
Ask me whose dog Rizzo is.
He knows he's your dog.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes the girls fine. But when he wants something, he comes to me.
Yeah.
So Lane's answer on that was funny.
Well, because even there at the end, clearly Parrish was writing a Juice story, and because he asked multiple questions about it, and he goes, "So what breed is he?" And Lane starts getting really technical with the answer, and then he stops and goes, "Oh hell, whatever. I'm not getting into this." He put real thought into it before he kind of stopped himself and realized what he was doing.
Well, he was about to go into a 10-minute conversation
about labs and breeds,
about the lab and
wild rose and the whole deal. Yeah,
it was actually funny.
Yeah, but he says that Juice is not currently minding very well, so he is back with Wild Rose for a
training camp.
Yes, for an update.
Yeah. Well, because I thought this was funny. He admitted this. As a lab owner, there was a lot I was identifying with. You take them to obedience training, and they get the training, and then you are supposed to do all these exercises at home, and you don't.
To maintain it.
Yeah.
And then the lab stops minding.
Well, yeah, because he figures it out that I don't have to do all this stuff to get fed. And then they become a little rambunctious.
So how long is he there?
I don't know.
Do we know?
He was going back today for day 3 of his training camp. Or today was yesterday. Today,
is he staying or going back and forth?
I think he's just going for the day.
Is he?
And it probably doesn't need to be out on the practice field running around.
Feels less.
Jackson Dart said, He said it was the only place he's ever been where in like watching film or like having a meal or whatever that you had to worry about a dog coming and stealing.
Really?
It. Yeah.
So he just kind of roams.
I think he's been around this summer. Yeah, been in the building.
Kind of hanging out.
Yeah, I think so.
He doesn't probably need to mind and be on his P's and Q's then.
I mean, to a degree, yeah, sure.
I mean, he is a 5-month-old puppy. There's a certain amount of just puppy in this. That is going to.
Sure. Even as no matter how well trained they are, they're still. I mean, labs are their most charming starting at about the age of 5.
Once they chill.
Yeah. He's nowhere near chill.
You have to get through 5 years to get to the peak.
Well, you got to get through 2 for sure. Labs stay puppies for about 2 years. They don't look like puppies, but they act like puppies. That's my experience with 4 labs.
Okay. So, any other impressions as we move on from that?
No, not really. I mean, no, it's too early.
It was a day.
It was a day. As first days go and first impressions go, it was a pretty damn good one. I've been to first days where I thought this team's not going to win 3 games.
No, they look.
I've been to things where I've been to first practices where I've looked at teams and said, "That's a hole that can't be filled. That's a hole that can't be filled. That's a problem. You can't win in this league with that." I didn't see any of that. I mean, they need to see a wide receiver or 2 step up and be the guy. They're loaded at running back, like really loaded at running back. Like I'm not sure the best history might tell us that the best back on their roster right now is running 4th team.
No. He likes Quinshawn for anybody who's
wondering. Yeah. I mean, that kid, he does things. It's a question mark at linebacker, but it's not as glaring as some people are making it out to be. Like they have players there. I think they'll figure it out. I don't know that they'll be as overall impactful as Campbell and Robinson were a year ago, but I'm not ruling it out either. I do wonder how you play all those defensive backs. How do you keep them all happy? But that's a good problem to have as opposed to in 2020 when it was, hey, is there anybody here who's ever played corner?
I don't know the exact number. I mean, I've covered 16, 17, 18 camps, something like that now. And, I mean, from a just straight what they look like in an overall personnel, it's a top 5 look. Because even, look, even some of the teams that have done really nice things at Ole Miss, it's been top-heavy more than depth down to 60 or 70 dudes. I mean, that bottom half, now look, maybe they're not as good at the top half. I'm not saying they're automatically going to Sugar Bowls or something. That's not my point. But the 60th guy looks better than the 60th guy on some of those other teams. I guess that's the point in that.
Yeah.
So
no, I mean, if you were to, a lot of it's going to come down to quarterback play, really. You know, I mean, if they end up getting effective quarterback play, I think this is a pretty good team. Now, if they don't, all those other things don't mean as much. And suddenly, hey, we're pretty good at linebacker, yeah, but you're not quite good enough. Mm-hmm. Hey, we're pretty good at defensive line, yeah, but you need to be absolutely dominant because you're not scoring enough. If that wide receiver thing doesn't work out, I think offensive line depth is still something that they and probably 10 of the other teams in the SEC are thinking about. You know, it's not a perfect roster by any stretch, but it's pretty solid. It's more. There are more potential answers to questions than they've had in a lot of past years.
Yeah.
But you know, people do 2015. Well, Chad Kelly was damn good in 2015. People talk about 2021. Matt Corral was pretty damn good last year. Those are the 2 Sugar Bowl seasons. So to get back to that place, I think you have to have.
Yeah, there's a difference in a depth of an overall roster and elite players at the top that carry you to win.
Yeah.
Those are not the same thing.
Yeah, I think they do need a handful of players to step up. They need Cedric Johnson to step up from really good to great.
Mm-hmm.
You need one of those defensive tackles to be really impactful. If you go and look at teams that have great seasons in the SEC, almost all of them have tremendous interior defensive players. Where a guy becomes dominant, has a dominant season. They need a wide receiver to step up and be a 1, another one to be a 2. I think Mingo and Robinson could easily do that. And then I get right back to it. I can't help it. I come back to quarterback. Mm-hmm. Can you find that guy who can step up and have the kind of season that leads you to a 9-10 win season? I think all the pieces are there, but getting that all to work. And it's like the Michael Trigg question yesterday, which I thought Lane answered about as well as you could answer a question, where the question was Jonathan Mingo compared him to Kyle Pitts, and Lane, I think, heard the question the first time and did the right thing and got the person to reiterate it for a minute so that he could formulate exactly how he wanted to say his answer. And he said, nothing against Mingo, but he's not an NFL personnel guy. And he said right now he's not Pitts. And that was a message that was being sent very clearly to Michael Trigg, that there's more to this than just having a bunch of physical gifts.
Podcast brought to you in part by Northeast Spark, NESPARC, your hometown team bringing you WorldQuest broadband. That's nespark.com. 662-238-3159. Phone service, pro controls, network security, and much more. So get the best internet in Lafayette County, and that's nespark.com. 662-238-3159.
Let's see. We are also brought to you by Whitney McNutt, Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all of your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. Whitney sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. You can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. Service specialist staffing and recruiting agency has been connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, they can help you pretty much across the board. And if your company is looking to hire quality, hard-to-find talent, a service specialist can help you as well. Keep in mind, payment of service is solely contingent on if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. It's always free for the candidate. You have nothing to lose. So give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 662-832-5138 or check out their new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. Also brought to you by The Rogue. It's your destination for fine men's clothing. Their stylish hand-select pieces from top designers. From work to lifestyle to nightlife, there's the perfect something for everyone at The Rogue. All the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, and so many more. It's therogue.com or 4450 I-55 North in Jackson. And don't just accept what you see, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental, helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative, state-of-the-art procedures, including Invisalign. These clear aligners are the virtually invisible way to improve your smile. So call Corinth Dental today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no interest, no down payment financing available at corinthdental.com. And we're brought to you by Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi. Sand rings, grass ring, miles of wooded trails, beginner lessons, nationally recognized competitions depending on how advanced you are in your equestrian career. And it's also a great place to host parties and events. So get in touch with Bowers Cone, Susan Walt, and the people at Southern Traditions Farm. You can message them on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm. And speaking of briskets, if you want a brisket, highly suggest that you go to LB's Meat Market, 2008 University Avenue in Oxford, and get a brisket and so much more. The freshest cuts in all of North Mississippi right there at LB's. Beef, chicken, pork, house-made sausages, the works. They've got it there at LB's Meat Market, 2008 University Avenue in Oxford.
So, did you see where they're making a Roadhouse remake?
I did not.
Can we not do that? Can we stop? Can we not remake American classics that have cult followings? Because Top Gun Maverick's not a remake. It's a sequel.
No, it's a sequel.
Roadhouse is not that.
I don't need that.
Not,
does nothing for me.
That might be one I just boycott and go, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna stick with Patrick and the double deuce and the whole deal, and that's how that works.
Why are you? It's not broke. I know you're trying to make more money, but
it's going to star Jake Gyllenhaal and also feature Conor McGregor in an original role, not himself. And it is about a former UFC fighter who becomes a bouncer in the Florida Keys. Amazon is the production company for this endeavor.
I'm good. Does nothing for me.
No, and other than to laugh at it, I don't know who sits down on streaming and goes, of all my options, that's where I'm going tonight at 7 o'clock. I'm not going to watch this doc about this or this TV show I kind of would catch up on or anything else. But
honestly, it's hard to even see all the things that are worth seeing. You only have so many hours in your day. Like, how many free hours right now? I know you're working on a project, you have none. But how many free hours do you truly have in a day, on a normal day? Like 2?
I'll tell you, it's the interesting part of what I'm doing right now is that when it's over, I will realize, and I'm serious here, I mean, it's something I've tried to get better at anyway, of the amount of wasted time in a day. No, seriously. Like, I look back and go, no, whoa, hold on. I'm like, if you're efficient, there's time. There is time to get some things done and at night to go, whew. Because when you pull in something else like this, it's just non-freaking stop. You go, wow, like, this sucks. But when it's over, you kind of almost go, wow, it's all right.
It's like the people who tell you about self-discipline and stuff are the people that are the most productive. Like, I was really proud of myself yesterday. I got back here at 4 o'clock, and I had to be somewhere at 5:30. And I almost sat down and started banging on a story, right? Even though I wasn't particularly fresh at that moment, I needed a little bit of a mental break. I'd been kind of writing and going all day. And instead, I went and ran for an hour. Took a shower, got where I was going by 5:30, came back here, and then did what he said, what he meant. Instead of trying to cram that into the 4 o'clock. I was like, what is the difference between me publishing this poorly at 5 o'clock or 5:15 or doing it better, fresher at 8?
Well, and it's where I've realized something myself. In the past, if I had to write something that was going to take more than about 10, 15 minutes, I kind of needed to finish it all at once. Like, I go, no, let me find a window to where I can just sit down and do it all. Yeah. I'm bad about, I have 12 minutes, let me start and then stop and whatever. And I've had to kind of learn that you still knock it out that way. Like, even if it's just 3 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs, let that be all right, and then get away and then come back and do kind of stuff. So, I don't know. There's been some learning stuff with it as time has gone on. But anyway.
What percentage done are you?
I don't know. I mean, probably more than I realized, but everything, there's so many folders. There's just folders right now with stuff.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do essentially is just get most of it done and then figure out the order of it later. I don't even know, like past, I know exactly where I start and kind of where I end, but otherwise I don't know what's 8, what's 9, what's 12, what's 14. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. So anyway, a few more weeks, and then we'll go from there. But we'll be back with you tonight.
Your challenge is going to be when you finish, you're going to finish, if you finish on time, literally right as the football season actually begins.
Yeah.
Your challenge is going to be, I don't have time to unwind for a minute.
I think the lack of this, though, that's not kind of what I'm saying, is an unwinding. Like, I almost feel like that being off plate is going to be such a sigh where it's not even about an unwind. It's like, no, we're good. Like, that's over. Like, because look, I mean, if it does, like, if it's fine, like, the next is kind of like the fun part. Like, okay, cool.
Sure.
Like, let's do this part now. And like, whatever. So, anyway, show tonight, 7 o'clock for that. Be with you. We'll talk stuff. I don't know. whatever. Maybe have a guest, maybe not. Take some calls. We'll just hang out, see what's what.
Yeah, we're gonna try to have a guest. We'll try to do the first. We'll try to do at least an hour of a football show, which will be easy, I think, today.
It will.
And then after that, some of it's determined by you guys.
Yeah.
Exactly how much of a show it is. And
yeah.
There's an NFL game on tonight. Raiders and Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Canton, Ohio. So football tonight. We no longer have.
So it begins.
We won't have another weekend without football until February.
That is correct.
Yep.
So, all right. Enjoyed it. Take care. Talk to you very, very soon. We'll talk to you then.